Hi everybody, welcome to another Southampton Vampire by Night video. In this one I'm kind of doing a bit of a, I don't know, a viewing of what goes into making, well, what went into making some of the videos that have come out recently. So the one we're going to be looking at today is between Stuart and Hugh. So Stuart from Southampton Vampire Night and Hugh from Black Chantry Productions. And this video that we created was all about the promotion of a new promo card for By Night Studios, and also to big up Vampire the Eternal Struggle 5th edition. So that's the kind of context of what this video is all about. And in the background, you're going to be seeing me doing the creation of it. So far, what you've seen is I've loaded up the original video track, which was filmed on a Zoom. So we did a Zoom meeting, and that's where we got our visual and audio from. Then what I do with those is I take that meeting, put it into Filmora 9 or Wondershare as it's now called, which is basically Filmora 10. And what I'm trying to do with that is I'm making both of the tracks. So I zoom in on Stu, and then I've zoomed in on Hugh. And when I zoomed in on Stu, I've kind of made that one track, and then I zoomed in on Hugh, made that another track. And then what I was able to do then is overlay the two above on top of each other, if you see what I mean. Well, that's what I'll do later anyway. But anyway, yeah, so it's basically there's one video track of Hugh, there's one video track of Stu with the audio for both. And all I've done over the top of that is I've put a filter, and that filter just darkens it up a bit and makes it a little bit more, you know, that's what we've done on all of our other videos. So we do it with these ones as well. It's just a, you know, what you would call it, signature of our channel, that kind of filter. So what you're seeing me doing in the background now is basically I'm making the background, the template for the video. So a lot of this has been pre-done because a lot of this is being reused from the By Night Studio video, but everything you're seeing here is pretty much custom built. So the image in the background there of the city is made by Katie, my wife's brother. So Peter Humphrey Photography, if you're interested in looking at any of his other pictures. But that's one of his photos that he's taken, we've used in the background. You can also see me now re-editing. So anytime you see me using green in this, what the idea of that is you can use the chromo key tool to basically remove that green screen effect. But it also means that you can, when you remove it like you just saw me do there, you can now see into the background, but it's also removed all of the stuff that was behind it. So for example, you know, some of these borders I was using had stuff in the middle of them and stuff like that. So what I've done is I've put green over the top of that, taken a picture of it, or a snapshot, loaded in that snapshot. And then when I use the chroma key, it removes the green, and then you just see the background, and you can also remain with that lovely border. So we changed it up on this one from the ones with By Night Studios. So I wanted to make that black background in those borders transparent, because I thought before it looks a bit too, I don't know, just it didn't look right. So what I've done is I've done I think it's the capacity, whatever it is, you basically fade it and so you can see the background through it. I thought that was a good effect, but it meant that at the start of this video I had to play around remaking a load of stuff and stuff like that. So now you can see me. What I'm doing now is I'm taking the Zoom footage and I'm adding it to the background now. So we've got the intros, which are done with this different style of background. And then I've moved on after that into setting up the kind of template for the rest of the video. This is where you have, you know, Stu and Hugh on the screen chatting away, images appearing on the right, and all the text and stuff appearing down below. So as you can see during this stage here, I'm adding in, you know, like that, to make the custom, I don't know, what do you want to call it, panels for them underneath their names, which is pretty simple. You just grab some black, drag it in, you know, set it how you want it, get both the company logos, bring them in, make sure they sit right and they're not covering too much. They're also visible, stuff like that. And then in a minute, you'll see that when I bring in the, Black Chantry Productions one as well, it's trying to match those up so they look about the right size, but still both of them are visible if you're reading it. This is where I make a small mistake. So basically, someone's going to have a drink. So basically here, I've used the wrong font. I've used a very bold kind of font for this one. I didn't like it. So you'll see later in the video, I have to change that because at this stage, I haven't compared it with other text on the screen. I haven't compared it with other videos I've created and stuff like that. And basically, yeah, I made a mistake, used the wrong font. So I have to rectify that later. Unfortunately, the videos are made in layers, and this is, I believe, layer 2. Layer 1 is the footage from Zoom brought in, like I said at the start, where I keep on hitting this mic. It's a thing of mine. So layer 1 is the video of just Stu and Hugh from Zoom with the filter put over the top and then separated into 2 separate panels, one of Stu, one of Hugh. Layer 2 is where you get the background in and you start to get the bulk of the video. So that's where you see what I've been doing in the background here, sorting out or putting that Zoom footage on overlaid on the background stuff. And this is how you make up the second layer. So at this point, there's no fancy stuff. There's everything you see here is permanent. So the names are going to stay there. Like under Stu and Hugh, those names don't disappear, don't move, whatever it is. So they in theory become a background layer. So that's why this layer is the one that you just it's there so you can then fiddle with it later. So yeah, as I say, I'm going back to the introductions now. So what I've done is I've done a little bit where I've been mucking around with it to get that transparency again. I've copied, I've taken a bit from a previous video with Elise. So what I've done is I've used the intro from that, which is just like our intro graphic and then the disclaimer. So anybody else who's making videos using basically material that's owned by Paradox, World of Darkness stuff, all of that jazz. Basically, you need to have that disclaimer in your video along with reference to the dark pack. And yeah, so you need to have that kind of logo in somewhere in your video, and you need to have that disclaimer somewhere in your video as well. It's basically just declaring that you are aware of the dark pack, and you're also ensuring that anybody watching this knows that the material that you're using in this is owned by Paradox. So yeah, just a little bit of a legal thing there. So if anybody wonders why I've got that at the start. Also, the length of it as well was come from feedback that I've had in the past about you should have that on screen for as long as it takes you to read it, plus like 10 seconds or so to account for other people's reading speeds and stuff like that. So my intro on that needs adjusting at some point. But if the community turn around and say, hey, I don't have enough time to read the disclaimer, then, I'll adjust it. So, right. Now, what I've done is I've skipped ahead now. So I've got rid of all the boring bits of me looking up imagery and chats on Discord and all this kind of stuff. And when the video is buffering, I'll skip straight ahead now into where I'm starting to add imagery into the video. So what I'm doing now is basically on your right-hand side of the screen in that box, I'm inserting stuff imagery-wise that's relevant to the what's being discussed on the screen, which means for me, I normally end up watching these videos. If they're 40 minutes long for you, then I've probably watched them 6 times by the time you see them. So you know what I mean? It's part of the fun of being an editor. You have to watch the videos quite often. So yeah, but at this stage, like you can see, this is where it starts to become fun. This is the bit I enjoy most of all when making the videos, because now I get to add a little bit of creativity and person. Although the whole video is, of course, creativity because it's all created by me, but this is the stage where I go out of the kind of formula, if you see what I mean, the bog standard, the background, all of that stuff. This is where I can start to be creative, start to use pans and zooms on the imageries, deciding what part of the image that I want to see, how it's going to best fit within the boxes. Like you can see here, I've had to select parts of the images to make them fit. Because otherwise what happens is when you drag and drop and squeeze and whatever, you literally, you end up with a little tiny false image, but it's just a tiny box. So here you can see I'm going through and making all the images the same size. So what you can do at the, I think it's called transcript. I can't see it properly from my view here, but anyway, you can make it so all of the pictures are the same size, and exactly in the same location. I personally use this because I think it's quite jarring if you're watching a video and as it goes from image to image, the image moves a bit. For me, I pick up on that and notice it. So because of that, I try to do it the best I can with these to make it so those images don't move and it's a nice, clean transition between the two. Now, one of the issues I had while making this video was at the start of this, I had very limited imagery to use. So in my other videos, I can go crazy. You know what I mean? I can go onto places like Pixabay and stuff like that and get hold of, you know, fantastic images made by the community out there and be able to utilize them, you know, because they are commercially, you know, you can use them for commercial use without price. Because trust me, normally photos cost about £20 per photo. So for me as a very small YouTuber, I can't afford that. So places like Pixabay allow me to add a bit of creativity in videos, a bit more imagery. So in my other ones, that's where you can see like thumbnails and stuff like that in the background. It's all taken from Pixabay and stuff. But the footage in here, the imagery in this video, because it's talking about product, because it's talking about a game, has its own imagery, if that makes sense. I really struggled to kind of find a way of making it entertaining on what was going on the right hand side of the screen for you guys. So here I'm playing around with different ideas of maybe trying to pan and zoom across. I was trying to make it so you could zoom in onto one image and then it would zoom out onto the other. So you would have you would zoom in on the guitarist's face there, and then as you got to his eye, it would zoom back out, and then you would see the cards. Unfortunately, with that didn't really work because the image on the card box was at a slight angle, which meant that when I tried to do that a minute ago, as you just saw, it wasn't going to work. So I had to, you know, this is the bit I like, the trial and error, the playing. This is where I learn new skills and new bits and bobs. So yeah, like I say, it was fun doing this bit, but it was just trying to figure it all out. It took quite some time for me to go, how am I going to make that imagery look nice, look interesting for you guys? So yeah, and as you can see here, I'm just going through as well, making sure that the images are on the screen for the same length of time as well. Because what I'm trying to do at this point, because I didn't have many images to use, was stretch the images out, so there was always an image going on throughout the video. Later on in the video, you'll see that I was able to gain hold of some more imagery, and at that point, that made things a damn sight easier. So, like for example, now I'm now going on to discussing. In the video, it starts to talk about our work with By Night Studio, so I was able to add in the imagery of the thumbnails for those videos in there, and then get all them right and stuff like that. And then I was able to put in afterwards the promotional card and start to discuss that. There was an issue with the promotional card stuff because, as you can see here, I'm looking to see if it's worth doing a kind of pan and zoom across, because of the guys are talking about the card, but I didn't want to show the whole card to start off with because I thought it's kind of giving spoilers of what they're going to be discussing. But after trying out the pan and zoom and after zooming in on certain parts of the card and stuff like that, it just didn't look right. It didn't to me visually just didn't, look good. So at that point I went, you know what, done. I'm just going to have the whole card in the image, and go with that. So now all the images in there, and that's all across, I now go through and I'm adding the text layers. Nice and simple. Filmora makes all of this really easy for you. And when you've got one done, if you want to, you can copy and paste it and then just move that across, and then you'll have the text, formatting and everything else, its location and stuff will all be the same. And I have to have multiple checks of my spelling. I'm dyslexic, which means to me, there's multiple forms of dyslexia. The style that I've got is basically that when I was at school, I really struggled with reading. And the way I learned to read was to do sounding out everything phonetically. Big word for me, that cat and dog. So because of that, when I see text and when I'm spelling, I spell it phonetically, which means certain words always catch me out. And because I've been so used to modern technology with things like spell check and all of that jazz, my problem is I spell a word wrong, spell check goes, do you mean this? I look at it and go, yeah, I mean that. And then it's the completely wrong word. So that catches me out as well. So I do apologize if you come across some of my videos where there's been spelling mistakes and stuff like that. It's pretty much been where I haven't had time for people to check the video before it went out, before I finished the final stage kind of thing. So yeah, but there you go, a little insight into that. The spelling for me has always been an absolute nightmare, especially some of my earlier videos, which was just text. Oh God. There was some embarrassing moments with that, especially the first one I ever did. I put it out and it was just, my friends just sent me like a massive list of, mate, you spelled this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, this wrong. I thought, oh no. And then I felt really bad because it was the first video I ever published. And I thought everybody thought, you know, was going to think bad things of me and stuff like that. So now I'm less, I'm more resilient to that stuff now. You know what I mean? Less, oh, well, adds character, people may comment is my kind of view of it now. But anyway, enough of that. So yeah, so as you can see at this stage, once again, look, text is going in, and we're all good. And it's starting to look like we're coming to at this stage, what I thought was going to be the final, you know, coming to the end of this is layer three. And yeah, so now I'm adding in transitions. Now transitions are what happens when you want one image to disappear and another image to come in. So there's loads of different ways you can do it, all kinds of fancy stuff, you know, checker effects, disappear, fading, you know, zoom out, zoom in, all this kind of jazz. Sometimes I get fancy, but most of the time I just use dissolve, which is where one image will fade out as the other one fades in over the top of it. And you get that kind of, yeah, I just use that because I think that sometimes it just gets a bit jarring. I think on some of my videos, I think the discipline ones, I started to do things with like some sound effects, like a sword going shing like that. And then as it flipped over, and I thought they looked quite cool. But I didn't want to do that on all the videos. I'm not that fancy. Right. So now I've just realized this is me doing the text didn't look right. So as you can see, the text that I've used on the introduction or on the right hand side of the screen didn't marry up with the text underneath the names. That's when I realized my mistake. So what I've done is I've just put black over the top of the name and then just did that bit again, just added text. So yeah, one of the issues you'll come across when making and editing videos is when you start to play around. This is why I do it in layers. The more things you add to a video, the easier it is for you not to notice that when you've added one thing, it's moved 16 other things out of position and stuff like that, especially when you start to muck with the audio. So I always believe that you should just get it in your head of going through and going layer, 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 layer. So, you know what I mean? If you do it like that, then all of those layers you've created means that when you're doing the layer above it, all the stuff that's underneath that won't be mucked up. The downside of doing it like that is if you make a mistake in one of the earlier layers, you've kind of got to live with it unless you want to try and edit out. Lucky I was able to edit out Stu and Hugh's names. But there are times when you go, oh no, you know, like the audio may not be 100% or whatever it is. If you've already gone through and edited the hell out of that layer, you're stuck. Okay, so this is me doing the green screen stuff. This is me doing the introduction and outro. So I stand in front of the green screen, I've got a script, and I do 15, 20 attempts to try and get the script right. I am not confident in front of a camera, especially when I'm trying to deliver information. It sounds stupid, but I much prefer doing what I'm doing now, which is just off the cuff, hit twice, off the cuff, just chatting, because this is me. This is natural. When I'm trying to deliver rules and trying to deliver, you know, corporate in a way, you know, that kind of professional, that's not what I'm like as a person. So because of that, I like to do that kind of stuff, you know, with a script in front of a green screen, where it's under my control. This is why in the videos with By Night Studios where I was on there, I wasn't supposed to be on those videos, but because of COVID lockdown in the UK, I kind of had to, and I was incredibly uncomfortable. but hopefully that didn't come across in the videos, and hopefully I was able to deliver and everybody liked them. But for me as Mark, I found it very uncomfortable doing it, just because it wasn't formally scripted what we were doing, but it was, we wanted to deliver certain information across in a kind of natural way. So my reactions are real, but the kind of lead up to those reactions, the kind of stuff like that, was all kind of scripted, and it was all one take, and I was like, oh my god. So anyway, yeah, intros, outros, that was me doing green screen stuff. Yay. If you want to see how many mistakes I kind of make, just check out the blooper videos I've done. They're not very popular on the channel, don't know why, but on them you can see some of the mistakes that I make, especially when it comes to certain words that I just have no idea how to say. Okay, so at this point, layer 3 has been completed. Hugh and Stu chatting away, all the text, all the images got done. So now I'm adding in the intro. I'm adding in my intro of me chatting. This is where I put the dark pack imagery in as well, and got my filter over me as well. I've got the background in, stuff like that. And I'm now going through and just doing a couple of checks to make sure it all looks okay. And yeah, so this is kind of just checking to make sure everything hasn't been moved, everything looks about right, there's no issues at all. And then I've got my outro at the end with me just saying goodbye to everybody. I'm adding the transition into that as well. Yeah, this is the bit where it's you know, it's starting to very much wrap up, you know, come to the very end now. I think, let me just see. Yeah, so right, so this is me taking all of the subscribers that have subscribed, I believe, in January, December, getting all of their names, and then figuring out a way of getting them all to appear on the screen and look right. Now, Filmora or this kind of stuff is not like Word or PowerPoint or anything like that. Text is an issue. Trying to get in the By Night Studio videos the text to appear and like fade in and fade out, if you see me, like it'd be like text appear here, then another bit fades in underneath and another bit under that. That was a mission because Filmora doesn't want to do that, doesn't like that. So for me, trying to get the text to be layered on top of each other and married up in the exact same position was, wow, took a lot of time and a lot of playing. And the same with this, although this is very simplistic in the way it looks, trying to get those text boxes to marry up and the text to be in line with each other and it not to look off or funny. And this is how I'm doing when they come in. So one fades in after another, but then of course they've all got different animation times and stuff like that on it. There's a lot of playing at this point, a lot of faff when it comes to text. So believe it or not, text is some of the hardest stuff to have in a video. When it's not just like a title or a name appears or a bit of information that appears for a second and disappears. If you're trying to do anything fancy with the text that isn't part and parcel of the kind of, I don't know, text layer you're using, whatever you drag and drop from the side, it does like its own animations and stuff. If you're trying to make it custom, it becomes awkward. So yeah, this is us celebrating our Patreons. Please become a Patreon of us. You wouldn't believe the difference your contributions make to the project. We've all got real world jobs that we do. The team puts a lot of its spare time into this. And with all the stuff going on with COVID and all the other stuff, finances towards the project have been stretched. So your input, your donations make a, I'm going to swear, make a massive difference. And we really, really appreciate it. So now I'm adding in some music. I've also noticed that there's some new music. So I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Let's have a list. So that I think I changed the song at this one just because I got caught up in the moment and went, oh, new songs. So what I do here is you fade in and fade out the music. So it doesn't just come in and go bam, loud. It fades the music in. At this point, I'm doing the final export, I believe. No, I stopped myself. Why did I stop myself? I don't know why. But yeah, so at this stage, I'm like, let me just check how much is long of this. Oh, there's more to come. So yeah, at this stage, I'm thinking we're good. And And then I believe, if I think I can see what's going on here, I'm starting to shrink everything, starting to move stuff around. Yeah. This is when I got access to more imagery. So at this point, I was given another folder full of incredible artwork. And I went, oh, I got to put it in the video now. So the video at that stage was pretty much 100% complete. And then I even believe I exported it and uploaded it to show the, Black Chantry Productions and By Night Studios. And that's when the imagery became available. And so I was like, right, that's it. I've got to have some more of this in here. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking, originally I was going to start playing around and having loads of the images in and stuff like that. But when you zoom in on them and stuff like that, they weren't 100%. They just, I didn't want to, the cards themselves look beautiful. And I didn't want to give a false impression of that just because of the imagery I was using. So I stopped zooming in and all that. And what I've actually done is I've now got it so we've got just the character cards basically. And so when the guys are talking about, aspects of the game, what is 5th edition and all of that jazz, I've then got throughout the clans, I've done a selection of each of the clan cards, of their character cards. And that was some new imagery that I got to put in there for you. And because of that, as you can see here, I then had to go through, remove all of the filters, remove all of the, change all of the lengths of all of the video, or all of the imagery that's in there. Then because there's some audio effects, or not audio effect, but, certain parts where the guys are talking about certain aspects of the game, I've then tried to make sure that the imagery that they were talking about is still at that stage. This is a prime example of if you change one thing, everything else will move. So yeah, and as you can see here, I'm just making sure all of them are the same length, so they fit in. I'm also changed all of them so they're the same size, that you've got the right hand picture and the left hand. Why do I always do that? Left and right mark. Yeah, so I've made sure they're all, it's going to look right, if you see what I mean. And this is all the faff and the editing that goes into getting that many pictures. I've had to change the layers as well. So because there wasn't room on the layer, I've had to move everything up a layer and faff with that. But yeah, but I think that the end result by doing this was better. So I didn't really mind the extra work that went into it at this stage, because I think that it came out and looked a bit better for it. So here's I believe, getting the images down to the right size. Yeah, as you can see, I'm changing the numbers in those boxes, which is the size and the locations. Yeah, so fun times. But yeah, so as you can get kind of a feel for this now, because I've been talking for good, I don't know, half an hour or so. There's a lot of work that goes into the videos, and it's a lot of work that's all done in my free time. Now, as some of you may know, I've recently had a new baby boy, and there's been some complications around that. That's taken up some of my free time, a lot of my free time. I've got a full-time job, got a house to look after, shopping to do, all of that jazz, and a whole project, because the YouTube isn't the project. Making a Larp is the project. So the YouTube channel stuff is just a means for us to, to build up a community, to get kind of content out there for everybody, to make everybody start talking about Larp again, and easier for getting new people into the game and all that jazz, etc., etc. So this is just one aspect of everything else we're working on. And so free time it's like, I don't play on the computer anymore and play, Destiny 2 and all that jazz. I spend my time sat making videos like this, or filming them, or having meetings with a team, or meeting with other people, and all of that jazz. So it's a full-time kind of effort, but I'm hoping that the end result from all of this work for the last, I think it's coming up to 2.5 years, 3 years now, I'm hoping that the end result of this is going to be something awesome. We shall see. So yeah, at this point, I think video done. Moving stuff around. Why am I moving stuff around here? Why am I doing that? I think I'm editing this because of the... Don't know what that last bit was about. Do apologize. So yeah, why am I playing with this at this stage? Oh, okay, because I've faffed around. Right, so what I've basically done there is I started to work on layer 3 again. That's what all that imagery was before. So now I've taken that, uploaded that now into layer 4, which is where I had the intro outro stuff, and I just had to literally dump that layer in and remove the other one. So that's what that's about. I was like, why have I got 2 big layers on top of each other? Right, so this last bit, creating the thumbnail. So all of my thumbnails are created in Filmora. I have a particular style that I've been using, which is I've been with that kind of the marble, because the reason why I use the marble is because it is something that people will instantly associate with Vampire the Masquerade. And where I'm a smaller channel, I'm trying to put as many links in or eye-catchy things into the thumbnail that make people who are interested in Vampire notice it and look at that video. So that's a reason why I had originally the marble. In some of our upcoming videos that we're creating at the moment, we're changing up. We're getting our own style in again. And yeah, so as you say, what I'm doing with this as well, though, is the blood splatter. This is all to do with the promotional stuff because we had the blood spatter in with the V2 stuff. So I thought, well, if I had the blood spatter here, I then went a bit too much on the blood splatter. Yeah, and I like the imagery I used as well with the whole like that. I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, so that I believe is that. And that is the finished result. So you guys have all seen the video now. It's been out there for a while. If you haven't seen it, please go and watch it. It's, you know, because you can see everything I've just been talking about. You can see it in action. We're learning. So hopefully some of my upcoming videos, once again, we're taking all of the lessons we've learned out of creating these, and then we're putting it into those. We're changing up our style. So we're still going to be producing rule videos on the channel, of course, because that's what the channel is about. It's about, you know, the community and bringing new people in, which means there's a massive, great big rule book. So let's help teach the rules. So that's something we're still going to be doing. We're working on finishing off the skills. We're working on talking about the disciplines, like individually, as in like if we're going to talk about presence, we're going to go through and talk about the presence disciplines and their uses in the game and some examples. We're also going to be looking at backgrounds and stuff like that. So that's that bit. We're going to do some more stuff on clan introductions, of course, and faction introductions. That's going to be post-COVID because costumes, logistics, you name it. It's Mike. It's hard going to try and get that quality of video out there. So what we are going to be doing is we're now going to be doing something else we haven't done before, which is focusing on the LARP itself. So we're going to be producing loads of new videos all about talking with the team that are behind Southampton Vampire by Night and what they've been up to, what they've been creating, decisions we've made, why we've made them. We're basically doing Q&As with each other, just asking each other questions like interview and interviewee. And we're going to put all of those out there. And we're hoping that these not only going to be interesting for people to watch because they can see what we've been up to for the LARP side of stuff, but also a useful tool for other LARP organizations or people that are interested in starting a LARP to see some of the stuff we've been doing and maybe not make some of the mistakes we've made, or take some of the stuff we've done and go, that's a good idea, we're going to use that. You know, because that's kind of what this community is all about. It's not all about me and mine. It's about you and yours. If we all had that mentality, then the community would just explode and flourish, and because everybody would be sharing and helping and stuff like that. Not to say that people aren't. I'm just saying that if the community was focused like that solely, you know, wow. So that's why we're doing it. Lead by example. So yeah, if you see anything that we've done, even if it's the videos we've made, if you see something in the video and you go, oh, I like that style, or I think I could do that, stuff like that, copy it. I've got no issues at all with, you know, you guys using any of the stuff you see in that kind of, you know what I mean? If you think that you like the idea that I've had with the interview, with the templates and the, you know, the people in the court left and top and bottom and all of that jazz, please use it. because, you know, that's what this is all about. The more videos that are out there talking about Vampire Larp, the better it will be for all of us. So yeah, anyway, that's that. So thank you so much for joining me. Sorry that I've been waffling on for quite some time on this one, but hopefully you found the video interesting. Please head on over to our Patreon page, check that out. There's loads of stuff on there that you can get, you know, like early previews of stuff, get your votes in on certain stuff we're doing. You can even come along and join us at our team meetings that we hold on a Tuesday. So once a month, you guys, if you're of I think it's the elder level, which I think is about $10 a month, I think, something like that. If you come along, if you join at that level, then once a month you can come for an hour and speak to the whole crew and ask any questions about the project, put your ideas in and input, you name it, you get completely involved for that hour on that month. Of course, if I get free time and you say, hey, Mark, can I have a chat? Then if you're one of our Patreons, I will always try to make some time to have a chat with you. So if you are a LARP organizer yourself, or just a LARPer and you want to ask a load of questions or get some advice or, you know, give me some input, then, you know what I mean, be a Patreon and then I will, you know what I mean, dedicate some time for you. So yeah, plus being a Patreon is what is keeping this going, because, you know what I mean, we need funding to make cool videos. We need funding to get the LARP off the ground. We need funding to get costumes and props and hiring some actors. We need, you know, insurances, you name it. So the donations that have been coming in from Patreon, you know, are what is basically making up that kitty for us to do all these kind of things and improve videos and improve basically what you guys get to see and do and hear and you name it. So yeah, please check out our Patreon page. And yeah, and also, of course, you're watching us on YouTube. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Just to give you a heads up of why all YouTubers say that, it's to do with every time you make a comment, every time you make a like or a dislike, and that promotes the video on YouTube's algorithm stuff, and YouTube will start to show it to other people. Now, because we're in a niche, so you've got like World of Darkness, and then in that World of Darkness, which itself is a hobby and a niche hobby, inside of that, you've then got Vampire Larp, which is a niche in a niche. And so YouTube, there's not like hundreds of thousands of people searching Vampire Larp. They may look LARP up, but not very often will someone use the keyword Vampire Larp, or anything like that. So every time you comment, every time you hit a like button, every time you share the video, the algorithm for YouTube goes, this could be something we should be sharing with other people. And it starts to show it to others. And that thumbnail then starts to appear on people's pages. That's why we ask you to do it. And subscribing to it means that you then get to see the content that's coming out, and the likelihood of our videos then appearing on your screen in the future, it increases massively. And that's what we want. We want you to kind of continue to watch our content and be involved in it. So that's why we've always asked for you guys to comment, because your feedback makes a difference. And those that have made feedback in the past to do with the videos, I'm pretty sure most of it I've either answered or actioned. So, you know, people that have said text was too small, or the audio was too loud, or the intro was too long, or the outro, you know, you name it. All of that kind of stuff I've actioned. You've got new intros that were shorter than the originals. The music was less loud. I removed the music from the video full stop throughout most of it, because before I used to have music playing throughout the entire video. You know, visually I've tried to enhance it. Some feedback was about making it less static, so I've tried to make the videos more dynamic in the way of movement. I went a bit too far with the ministry video, but you know what I mean, it's a bit more trying to add a little bit more movement in them. Anyway, all of that jazz came from your comments. So yeah, anyway, thank you once again, and it's been great speaking to you all, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Okay, bye.